DNA really opened my eyes to that of just like, I'm all about learning more about myself, learning more about God as much as I can, and just trying to find out how he's uniquely designed me and how he's writing and I am co-writing my story has been mind-blowing.
I'm your host, Daron Earlewine, and stoked to be back with you guys today to remind you that God has created you on purpose and for purpose. And we're going to be jumping into that right now with our guest, Ryan Ahlwardt. If you've been listening to radio theology at all over the past 3.5 years, you know Ryan's voice, and he's been on the podcast before. Ryan, welcome back, buddy.
Thanks, man. Good to see your face. Has it really been 3.5 years?
I think that's the math. I mean, you know me and math. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, here on the Born to Be podcast, you've listened to him before. Obviously, we're going deep in conversations about how we become who we were born to be. And Ryan, you are an alumni of Spiritual DNA. You and I, when we were just creating the online course, you and I kind of went through with the course that existed way before that, but we were really getting ready to launch the online course. And you and I sat down for, probably a good 6 months or 3 months or whatever, just eating Ethiopian food and going through your results.
St. Yared's on Fall Creek in Indy. It's so delicious.
So good. Just thinking about it right now makes me hungry.
You just want to go right now?
Maybe.
Just go.
We should have recorded it there. What are we doing on this stupid Zoom?
What are we doing? Yeah, I was kind of a guinea pig for, your beta test of getting all that stuff online, which was a blast. And we crushed some Ethiopian food while we were at it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't want to, if people want to go back and watch your, listen to your first episode where we unpack a little more of your life story, they can go do that. We always talk about here in the podcast that, the God is for you, not against you. He's near you, not far from you, right? And he has created you on purpose and for a purpose. And the joy that I've had, Ryan, to be your friend and be able to ride shotgun with you through, the past couple of years, and really before that, because we've been doing stuff for, maybe like 15 years together now or so.
It's been a minute for sure.
And so it's been a joy because watching you come to those places of discovery, one of the things that I, say a lot on here as well is that when you know your worth, you'll change your world. And to watch you step into that sense of worth, that sense of worthiness. And what I've noticed in the past, couple of decisions you've made career-wise, and I'd like to spend some of our time together focusing on this, is you've really bet on the talent that God has given you, specifically with your voice. Obviously you did that in college, and when then, singing at IU, obviously Straight No Chaser, traveling the world and doing that. And then you stepped away from that for a season to lead Young Life, which, was a decision to put family first, was a decision to follow, the what you sense Christ was calling you into. Mm-hmm. You stepped away from that, to work with me in Blackbird, where we were reaching people, kind of the same heart behind Young Life. And then the radio show came out of nowhere. And then, we leveraged that opportunity to reach people. But then, you got more committed and more serious about recording, music again, writing music again. You've been releasing a song, you released a song a month for, a couple of years straight right now.
Yeah. It'll be 3 years next May.
So the dedication there, and then, then kind of out of nowhere, this voiceover kind of career begins to grow and burgeon. And so what I want to talk about is, I know there's a lot of people out there, Ryan, that have a talent. There's people that can sing, or maybe they've got a great talent. It could be even in, I guess I'm thinking more creative talents. Maybe it's they can paint, or they can sew, or they can create, or maybe it's in computer coding or something, but they have something that is a natural talent that is, heads and shoulders above most people. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people don't bet on themselves to chase after that talent. And so what I want to kind of unpack is how God has led you to understand your DNA and your worth, but to take the risk to say, you know what, like, I'm going to go after what I'm passionate about, and I'm going to go after what I'm talented about, and what that journey has been like.
It's a great question. I think I've always had a sense that my life was going to be different than average. Like, I've always had a sense that my life was going to be extraordinary. There was some sort of calling on my life that I remember even having that confidence like junior year of high school. And I think that's when I really started to find my lane with music and performing. I'd always been on stage since I was in, I think like first grade was the first time I was in a school play. Coincidentally, it was the first time that I peed my pants in front of my entire school wearing a bunny outfit.
That was just the first or last.
That was the first. And honestly, man, I've looked back at now 38 when I was, looking at that horribly, horribly tragic instance when I was 6, thinking like that could have been the end of it.
Yeah.
Like I could have said, Mom, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah. That's
Like
the most mortifying thing ever. I'm not, this is not happening again.
Literally the first time up there, and I pee myself, and it was in a full body bunny outfit. And so it like wicked all the way up into my body. Like my sister stood up and said, Mom, Ryan peed himself in front of the entire school. Like it was like a scene from a movie that I was watching outside of the experience.
What's funny is I know this story, but I was getting ready to say what I about said to you. I was getting ready to say, didn't your sister stand up and yell, Mom, Ryan is, but I thought maybe I feel like that's a scene from like Diary of a Wimpy Kid or something.
Right.
It's like, maybe that's a movie. No, that's Ryan's life.
100% happened. I've got the most supportive older sister in the world. But it could have been the end of it. I could have said, I'm never doing that again. And I don't know what it was to then in second grade, be on stage again, third grade. Every time we moved, I grew up in a Navy family. Every time we moved, I was always finding myself on stage and really, really loving it. We moved to Indiana when I was 12 years old. And I remember the first kind of guidance counselor that I had in middle school, who, when I was registering for my, next round of classes or whatever, getting to know this brand new school, he was like, hey, if you want to meet some friends, choir is a really great way to do that. I didn't know that he had been asked by the choir teacher, hey, start pushing choir because we need guys especially. So I tried out for the choir with some of my friends as a joke. We thought we were going to pull it over on the, on the choir teacher, like whatever. If we all show up, she won't take any of us. Well, she took all of us because she needed as many bodies as she could get. And then I think like probably 90% of us stayed through choir all of high school. Now at that time, I was making friends. I was, I almost said auditioned. I tried out for the football team. I made the football team. I was on the team in the sense that I wore a jersey and I
went to practice.
I went to practice. I was on the field at times. I remember I caught one touchdown. Many passes were thrown to me, but I caught one of them and it happened to be a touchdown. But I always felt this sense of like, just a little being unsettled. Like, I don't think these are my people. I don't think this is my space. And,
so then unpack this for me then, Ryan. You've got this sense of, what I'm going to call, an innate sense of significance from a young age.
Yes.
Mixed in with these moments in just not feeling your fit in the sports realm.
Right.
And so, and I think that can be difficult, especially, in our younger years where maybe the popular things or are this is where people find significance. This is where you find popularity, whatever.
Yep.
Like I want to, because you made a decision. Like, I'm not going to go the route everyone goes. I'm not going to go the wide road here and do that.
Right.
Like I'm going to quit football. I'm going to double down on what we're doing choir wise, even if it was not the popular decision. But I guess two questions I have. First one is, where do you think that sense of significance came from early on? And then I want to see, the second question would be, did that sense of significance, was that something that led you to make the difficult decisions to walk away from things like football?
Yeah, I'll answer the second first. It absolutely did. It absolutely helped me when I felt unsettled, or I think misaligned is probably a better term. Like I just
misaligned.
I was just like, I don't think I belong here. And even if you fast forward into when I was actually using my marketing degree from the Kelley School of Business, go Hoosiers, when I was in the quote unquote business world, I still felt unsettled. I still felt weird putting on like a suit or like sitting in a cubicle. I still felt misaligned and out of place, kind of like a black sheep. Like there's part of me that I can play this game, but I don't really at my core feel like I belong here. And that was tricky when I would actually excel at things that I wasn't created to do. And there was some conflict there inside, because I'm like, well, I'm getting all the good grades, so to speak, or I'm earning all the right points, but I don't really think this is my thing. But
Well,
yet I'm
hmm.
still good at it.
Well, I've heard, and Ryan, I
Yeah.
love that you said it that way, because I've talked to people that hate their job. They literally hate their
Mhm.
life, like
Yeah.
not their relationships, but like, I hate my existence.
Yeah.
And then you ask, well, why do you do this job? And they say, because I was good at it.
Yeah.
And I think so often that a something you're good at can
Mhm.
be the greatest enemy of something that you could be great at, or that you were
Yep.
created to step into.
Yep. Yep. And I think in those seasons of my life where I just made a decision where I'm like, I remember handing in my jersey to the entire football coaching staff at my old high school. I remember walking in and thinking, how are they going to take this that I'm about to tell them that I'm not coming back? Not knowing, by the way, that they were going to have me play varsity the next year, as I think a junior. Where I was like, I didn't know that. And I remember that conversation. I remember having the conversation with my mom and dad, like sitting them down and being like, hey, so I'm not going to play football next year. I think I really want to go more into performing arts and choir. And what I didn't know is both my parents and all the coaching staff after those conversations had other conversations amongst themselves saying, we're going to support him 100% because it's obvious that that's where he needs to go. And so that sense of significance, man, I think anytime that I've walked more into the lane that I think God has got in front of me, he just gives me this extra dose of like super confidence. Just like, I don't know how it's going to work out. I'm going to figure it out though, because I know it's like crystal clear, like that's where I need to go. And so the significance and the confidence, those are usually two signs for me internally that I'm walking faithfully right where God wants me to go. And so really only in the past probably 3 years have I fully stepped into that where it feels less like he's just dropped something in my path that's like, hey, this is going to be awesome, you're going to get signed to a record deal, or hey, you're going to lead a chapter of Young Life that's going to be one of the best in the country, like, or hey, you're going to have a radio show with some of your closest friends that you're going to be a part of. Now it's really like, hey, this is your decision too, like there's co-agency in this. Where that's exciting, like in my late 30s, to feel that really for the first time in my life, that I haven't just stumbled into something that God has got amazing in front of me, but it's like, no, you're choosing this now. You're really, really confidently stepping into those spaces and places that I've got ready for you. This is the territory that I've got, and you're going to rock it because I'm already ahead of you. And so it's a really, really cool season to be in currently, and feeling all that.
I'm guessing, Ryan, that you know, the first time you make a decision like that, it's unsettling and you're not sure about it. But
Hmm.
I'm guessing that now that you're, 4 or 5 difficult decisions in,
Yeah.
you can see and sense,
Hmm.
this is where God's leading. There is a confidence. I have the peace, you know what I mean, of the Holy Spirit guiding me. I'm guessing each one gets a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's getting easier to just notice, like I said before, where I'm getting misaligned or where I am misaligned, and I feel easier and can pinpoint it easier when I feel like I'm withering up or drying somewhere where I'm not supposed to be. It's
Hmm.
like when I left, and this was interesting, now that I hear myself talking about it, I walked into the same conversation that I had with Straight No Chaser after doing this amazing record deal, touring around the world, recording albums and selling out concert halls around the world, walking into that same conversation of, how are these guys going to take that I'm stepping away from this to go do
Mhm.
this? So in a way I have felt, and this was interesting in my the five voices thing that spiritual DNA talks a lot about. I always felt like, wow, I'm moving a lot. Like literally growing up, I was moving a lot, but also career path. It's kind of, it has not made sense. It's like a curve. It's not a straight line. But I've understood, that doesn't mean that I'm being apostolic, just moving. You're like, okay, I did this for a little bit. Now I'm moving on. But it's really like this. I'm an evangelist at heart, so I'm connecting, and I'm starting to now connect the dots of my own life story and being like, oh, this is just a unique path that God has got in front of me. And now it feels like, oh, I get to walk more into, like, I don't want to pivot. I don't want to, I don't want to go, well, let's try this for 5 years. And if it doesn't work, let's try something else. It's like, no, now I'm on the lane that I think I want to be on for the rest of my life, which is super exciting, man. And so DNA really opened my eyes to that of just like, I'm all about learning more about myself, learning more about God as much as I can, and just trying to find out how he's uniquely designed me and how he's writing and I am co-writing my story has been mind-blowing, man. And so without you, without spiritual DNA, without the insights that I've had over the years through that awesome tool, I don't know if I would have, maybe I'd be on the same path, but I definitely don't think I would have as much awareness of that path and the reason and the meaning and the purpose behind that path if I weren't a part of it.
I appreciate that, and it's been cool to watch you walk into it. I think about the fact that you look at that you are your leadership voice and calling is that of an evangelist connector,
Hmm.
and the idea of bringing good news and connecting people to other people or resources to people. And I think if someone spent 30 minutes with you, they'd walk away and go, that like Ryan brought good news into my life, and it
Mm.
could be the gospel
Yeah.
of Jesus, right? It could just be, here's a good book, here's a good song, here's a good, piece of steak, what I mean? Here's a good
Yeah.
friend,
Yeah.
and I think the cool thing that I see that brings more meaning even to um, the heart behind what you're doing with your music
Hmm.
is that whether it's in a live expression or it's through something that's recorded, is you're bringing the goodness of life, the goodness of music, the goodness
Yeah.
of God in a lot of ways that He's placed within you. And I feel like when you present the art you create, it comes across as good news for people. And I
Mm.
and I and I think that's got to be a sense of why you are drawn to this, and why you're betting your life on it, because it's like it's a process of you having an avenue to bring good news and to connect people with the resources that bring them joy.
Yeah, that's a really good word to hear, man. I appreciate you sharing that with me. I think there's something really cool and in some ways very sacred about the relationship between a performer and an audience.
Mm,
And as someone on stage who can look out and you could see just a mass of like thousands of people, or in this case, like I've been doing since COVID-19 hit, I've been doing a lot of virtual shows where I'm not really seeing my audience, but I'm reading their comments, come through during a show or whatever. And it's been awesome to connect with them afterwards and just have these now they're becoming friends across the country, across the world, who are reaching out to me to say, hey, I know you're a man of faith. My husband is having a cancer treatment surgery tomorrow, would you mind lifting him up? Or hey, we're down and out on hard times, we still love being part of your Patreon community, but we need to shift our level of support because times are tough right now, could you pray for us? And so seeing that, like, I'm not necessarily a minister in the sense that I'm carrying a Bible to work or have like a collar around my neck saying that I'm a minister of the gospel, but people do see me, and this is awesome and super humbling to know that, like, they see me as an encouragement, a ray of positivity. Bring it, one friend, she said, I chose to be a patron of your music because it's so obvious that you bring light and positivity into dark places. She's like, that's why I'm your patron, not because I love your music. I happen to love your music, but more than that, you're a positive force in a world that needs a lot of light. And so that's really cool, man, to be using the gifts that I know God gave me for his kingdom, for the betterment of others, and also for the provision of my own family. Like, that's super awesome to know. It gives me more of a reminder of my why as a
mhm,
creative person, as a professional artist. um, it just reminds me when I'm able to connect again, my voice is as an evangelist. And for a while, it took me a while to wrap my head around, like, so does that just mean I have to professionally share the gospel? It's like, no, but you are going to be good news.
mhm.
You are going to bring good news, and you're going to be good news, and you're going to reflect good news into the world through the things that you get to do.
See,
Um,
Ron, I love that you just said that, because what it makes me think about is it that to me is Christ likeness for all the voices, right? Because
mhm,
he was the message and the medium, right?
mm,
Like he
mhm,
was it. And I think when we're really, when we talk about when you know your worth, you'll change your world, is when you become so secure
mhm,
in who God's called you to be. Like for you, you bring good news, but you are good news.
Mm.
And I think, for whether it's, somebody who is a pioneer, apostle, creative, prophet, a nurturer, shepherd, or a teacher guardian, is that there's, I think, as we grow in maturity, there's a process where we become our calling. It's not just
Mm.
something we vocalize or we
Yeah.
do,
Right.
but if you're a teacher guardian, you're someone who the essence of yourself is to guide and instruct and to guard and to be a sense of strength and stability. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? As far as a nurturer, like, you just don't tell people how to take care of themselves. You know what I mean? But who you are, nurtures and loves and shepherds and guides people. And I think um, that's a level of maturity and kind of a next level place that you're in. And I think that's the part where the book of Ephesians, where it talks about us growing up, you know what I
Hmm.
mean, and to be the full measure of Christ, is, I think, when our life becomes so much more than just a role that we play or a word that we bring, but it becomes the essence of who we are.
I think that's beautiful, man. And as I hear you talking too, I think of the flip side of that, of when I feel most under attack, spiritually speaking, is when I am out of connection with God, with my wife, with our family, with my
Hmm.
friends, with my creative collaborators. Now, that's not to say that, I mean, I know that I need, and this is part of spiritual DNA that helped me understand this too. Like, my spiritual pathway is more of an ascetic and more of a naturalist. And so I need to go recharge by myself outside. Like, I just need to, especially when there's shade, because I'm SBF albino, and like, it's a beautiful, like, I had a realization recently this week. I'm like, "Oh, I just love shade." Like, shade is just a gift. Now, some people just bake in the sun and they just love it. I'm just like, dude, like, that's instant death on our deck where it goes from shade to like light. I can feel myself calling the dermatologist if I just even step a toe into the light. But now, when I do feel out of community, out of
Hmm.
relationship, that I think is when I can feel dry. That's when I can feel like I'm just overexhausting myself. I'm also a 3 on the Enneagram, so I'm an
Hmm.
achiever.
Yeah.
I love success. I love excellence. I love metrics where I can see growth and change. But the shadow side of that and my personality is that I can rely way too much on my own strength, and I um, work really, really hard not to be excellent and not to put out something excellent that reflects my maker, but to stave off this deep sense of worthlessness.
Hmm.
And that's kind of heavy, man, where it's like, where my identity gets attacked is like, I can easily believe that, like, oh, because I can be an artist, I am an artist. And it's like, no, it's a lot bigger than that. Like, that's what you do. That's your profession, that's your occupation. But what is your preoccupation? It needs to be your relationship with the Lord. And like, when I kind of put Jesus on the shelf and just let him collect dust and keep him around because that's a good thing to do, like, that was me all in college. I had my Bible as like a paperweight, bro. Like,
Hmm.
never cracked it open. Like, said I was a believer, did not walk the walk at all. Just kind of rested on the laurels of my faith and his grace, being like, he's gonna forgive me for all this stuff. So yeah, let's just go ahead and do whatever I want.
Hmm.
Now it's like, no, 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 no. Like, all of this, if all of this goes away, if the community of people who love you and your music goes away, if your family goes away, if your ability to create music, let's say your hands get injured, let's say your voice just goes away, like, at the end of the day, I can still rest on the identity of whose I am, not who I
Hmm.
am, but whose I am. And that's tricky for me, man, to really have to remind myself and catch myself and invite others to call me out when I drift from that, when I drift and just kind of become this hard shell of someone who I don't want to be. um, it's really, really hard to get out of that and let myself be drawn out of that.
Hmm.
And usually it's done in community, and
Yeah.
so I'm grateful, super grateful for the fact that I'm not supposed to do any of this on my own.
Yeah.
Like, all the stuff that I've been able to create and be a part of, and the teams that I've been able to be a part of, it's not the me show at all. I can step in alongside other people who I get to love, and that's so much fun. Like, when the radio show, the podcast, when we were doing that, like, it's like, oh, I get to show up with Daron and Lisa, and like, let's roll.
Yeah.
but when it gets isolated, that's where it can be somewhat of the danger zone for me, because I can start to believe the lie that like, you are what you create.
Mm,
You are what you can make. And it's like, no, 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 no. It's like I get to create that stuff, but it's not who I am.
that's beautiful, dude. And I think that's been tested for you because you have walked away from things that you've created, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like you created a great life for yourself with Straight No Chaser, and then you walked away from it. I mean, that for an Enneagram 3, connector, like all of that, for you to be like, yeah, the fame, the fortune, prestige, whatever, like tons of trophies over there, right?
Mhm.
Like
Oh yeah. Still
gold
got them on the
gold
wall.
gold records on the wall. But like I'm gonna walk away from that. And
Yeah.
and and it wasn't a debilitating situation where you didn't know who you were. Like
Right.
then you helped, kind of resurrect and bring new life and strength into, an awesome ministry with Young Life, and you
Mhm.
created that, and there was great things, and there was kingdom results and eternal impact and all the things, and then
Yeah.
you were able to walk away from it. And even in this season that we're able to create, with radio theology and that part of the ministry, and then to be able to, I mean, some of it was taken away from us, but it's like the thing
Yeah.
I think I'm one of the things I'm most proud of for you and for Lisa and myself is that, we were kind of a dream team together doing this ministry, but we were individually at the same time always seeking who God had called us to
Mhm.
be in those opportunities. And so when an opportunity that we created that we brought that gave us a lot of joy, that gave us prestige, that gave us, a lot of feel goods and cool
Yeah.
results, kingdom wise, and impact on people's lives, when it was taken away during, COVID-19, pandemic, and a phone call, it's gone,
Yeah.
it literally the next day we just pivoted and kept running towards after what God
Yeah.
was already in our life doing. We weren't, caught in a corner somewhere, sucking our thumbs, crying that we had no worth or value anymore.
Right.
And I think that's the joy of understanding, like you were saying, is that whose we are and how he works through us, and our trust for him is so much more than just what we get to do.
Amen, man. I had an eye-opening realization when I was listening to a Tim Keller podcast. Tim Keller's an amazing preacher, pastor out in New York City in the heart of Manhattan, talking to a very much secular audience
Mm.
in a highly intellectual yet very relatable way. And he was talking about, imagine if you're, when you said when COVID-19, in the matter of a phone call, it was like something that God had walked us into. He was always like, he also was like, that's gone now, and left us three just kind of reeling like, what the heck is going on? But yet our muscle memory, of our faith, was still to go, okay, God, what are you up to?
Yeah.
Instead of like being like, you are a jerk, it's like, what's going on? Can you help me understand? Not that he couldn't handle if we raised our fist and said, you're being a jerk right now. you know
Yeah.
but Tim Keller said it's the object of our faith, not the strength of our faith, that saves us. He said, so
Mm.
imagine if you're falling off of a cliff and you see a branch sticking out of the cliff, and your faith is weak, yet you still reach out and grab it. Okay, so like you're the ability of actually to still reach out and grab onto that branch, the branch is what saves you. Of course it's your choice to reach out and grab it, but let's say you've got what he's saying is weak faith in a strong branch is going to save you way more than strong faith in a weak branch, because you could have
Hmm.
all the faith in the world, but if the branch is weak, you're still going to die.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, not what is your faith in, but in who is your faith. And I think that's what's really cool about following Jesus, is like, it's not a tenet of beliefs, it's not intellectual assent that God exists, it's actually a relationship that we're called into. And I love that God was like, I'm going to write myself into this story, because there's no other way that you're going to understand who I am unless I enter your world right now.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
like, man, I know Easter is awesome, but like the incarnation just still blows my mind, that he just chose to show up, like move
Hmm.
into the neighborhood and be like, all right, let me show you who I really am and who you
Yeah.
really are. And so
Yeah.
I would say, if someone's on the fence, maybe you've been, walking with Jesus for your entire life, or maybe you're kind of skeptical, or maybe just outright antagonistic of the whole idea of it. Um, I firmly believe that we cannot fully understand ourselves until we can get into a relationship with the one who created us. Who, there's moments in my prayer life, I'm like, God, can you just help me decipher what the heck I'm thinking? Like, help me decipher, not just like, will you give me this? Will you prevent this from happening? Will you protect me from this calamity? It's more just like, I have no idea why I think the way I do. I've got an idea, but can you kind of help me see the full picture?
Mhm.
You know, can you help me make sense of this? And I think sometimes we don't I know I don't always go to him asking those kind of questions because I think I've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
Because I've got the rap sheet on myself that goes, "Oh, I did this, I did this, and I did this. Here's
Mhm.
why." You know, and our pride can really prevent us from understanding just more of what he's got that's good. You know, like we want what's in his hand, but I think sometimes he's got something that like we can't even fathom behind his back that he's just ready to rock our worlds with.
Mhm.
And I think we just need to trust him that it's like good and bad. And that's where it's like, I think in scripture where it's like, rejoice always. You know, I think it's in Philippians where Paul's like, rejoice always. I say it again, rejoice. It's like, I've been doing a lot of rejoicing in the midst of this whole COVID quarantine thing. There's been moments where I'm just like, Lord, what is going on? But it's easy for me when I can look around and see like, oh my gosh, I'm blessed beyond measure right now. And then he's like, good, you are. Now who isn't that you can then go and serve and be a sliver of me for,
Yeah.
you know? And so in many ways, man, I think every day for me personally is still a discovery of like, okay, let's start over again. What's the gospel? Who am I? Who's God? Who am I?
Mm.
And who does he want me to be? And what does he want me to do?
Yeah. Yeah. So much, such good stuff, dude. It's just so cool to see how the longer you follow the Lord and the deeper you go, the way he just continues to unfold new realities, new truths, new application of it, right? And
Yeah.
and new revelation of how awesome he is. And it's inexhaustible, which is so which makes him so great. Um I want to hit you with this question, Ryan. We'll land the
Sure.
plane on this one.
Yeah, buddy.
Is people could see, maybe there's somebody that's like you, that's talented, as a musician, and it's not easy, right, to make a living as a musician.
Hmm.
And it would be great to do. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to do it.
Sure.
um you're currently, pulling it off, but it hasn't come without hard work
Mm.
and thinking outside the box, trying new ways of generating income, looking at new
Yep.
technology, like.
Yes.
And so, what's a word of encouragement that you might give to somebody that's like, man, I wish I could, yeah, I wish I had quit my job and do like what Ryan does. And you have a very diversified portfolio of income.
Yeah.
It makes me think of Jeff Goins' book, Real Artists Don't Starve, and some of the
Hmm.
things that he shares, about how you have to, the way to approach a life that, and I love his book. What is it? Thriving Artists Don't Starve is another one of his newer
Yeah. I
books, I
can't remember
think.
the name of it.
Yes, there it is. Real
On a
Artists
shelf
Don't
somewhere.
Starve. Jeff Goins. I'm looking at it right
I
now.
love how we both checked our
Yeah,
bookshelves. Like, it's over
there it
here
is.
somewhere.
And and you've embraced that and
Yeah.
and leaned into that. Unpack that for a minute.
I think I would encourage someone, especially if they're thinking that they are in the create or could be in the creative space. I would say exhaust every opportunity you can to see if it's just a hobby or if it's something that you are really willing to suffer in getting off the ground. Because here's the deal, God's going to bless it if that's what you're supposed to be doing and you're walking faithfully with him. There's no doubt in my mind that he's going to show up. Dude, there have been moments where like I have prayed prayers of just intimate prayers of just like, Lord, I'm just going to confess something. I really, really enjoy this when I do this. I feel absolutely alive behind any microphone in any studio on any stage. I just feel alive, and I think this is. I know this is what you've created me to do. I don't know why me, but can I just have more of this? Like, can you give me the good things that you've got in store? And like,
Yeah.
literally, dude, the next day, I'll get a call or an email. Hey, we got you, we'd like you to audition for this voiceover, or hey, here's a private client that wants you to come entertain their family, or hey, can you play this thing, or hey, can you open up for so and so, or anything. And it's just like, it's been so amazing to see his provision as just a good dad who I
Mm,
think wants and has the best for his kids in mind, and like being a dad, I'm able to get a little bit inside his mind and be like, oh, this is why you protected me from that opportunity that I was excited about, but it wasn't what I should have walked into. So I would say, see, here's the deal. We live in a culture, in a time in history with the technological advances that we've got. We have access to things around the world that people even 20 years ago couldn't have dreamed about.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
Like, I think of that scene in Good Will Hunting where he's Matt Damon says to the guy, he's like, "Hey, you could have, saved a whole lot of money. You could have just spent like $5 on a library card if you just applied that knowledge to go and get curious, and work hard and figure things out and connect with people. Like, you don't have to have a degree as a creative person to go do. I've got a degree in marketing, dude. Like, now granted, I'm good at marketing, but better than that, I'm just learning that I'm like, it doesn't matter what a piece of paper says on my wall about who I am. It's like, it ultimately says what God has put his mark on my life. That's what matters. And so
mm,
try to exhaust every opportunity to see if it's just a hobby. And if it's just a hobby, that's okay. Like, be okay with it just being a hobby. But if it's supposed to be your life calling and your occupation and your profession and your vocation, there's going to be no doubt. Like, he's going to show you sign after sign after sign. Like, are you getting the point?
yeah.
Like, are you seeing what I'm putting in front of you? And sometimes we're just blind to it. So I would also say, have someone or some people in community with you who know you really, really well and who are safe people that you can just ask what might sound like dumb questions to, like, am I supposed to be doing this? And listen to them,
Mm,
especially if they're in the body of Christ too. They're going to have the Holy Spirit within them directing you. And sometimes that's what I think we have to go up to the top of a mountain and get this revelation from the Lord. It's like, actually, it might be a conversation with a friend over lunch
yeah.
that kind of sits with you for a week. Keep putting that in front of God and being like, help me to decipher this,
Mm,
because life is short, man. I'm really, really big. Like, I love the parable of the talents. I love two things. Well, I love a lot of things in scripture, but parable of the talents, and also the concept of being a city on a hill that all can see. Okay. And I used to really want to be a city on the hill so people could see me. But now I'm understanding, it's like, no, I want to succeed and be excellent at the things that I do and be different and be that light and that positivity and that joy and that encouragement in a world that desperately needs it, where people go, what's behind that? And how did you get that? So I can
mm,
then go, let me tell you a little bit about who did this for me and who did this with me.
wow.
And that's what I want. That's what I'm working for. And everything that I put my mind into, it's like, God, either bless this or don't. But if you do bless this, help it be help it be a lighthouse on the shore, making people go, oh, there's hope. Oh, there's life over there. Let's go find out why.
Yeah.
And I love the parable of the talents, because it's like, dude, as a 3 on the Enneagram too, it's like, I want a I want to be able to I want to be the guy bringing 10 bags back to the Lord and being like, here you go. Look what happened. And he
Yeah.
goes, great.
Yeah.
Now oversee 10 cities.
Mm,
Like, I want that. And so it just helps me reframe my work, man. It really, really does. And that's not to say that it doesn't come with its share of challenges and moments of doubt and moments of just, crippling low self-confidence and just like, that's not to say that those don't exist, but when they do come my way, it's the reminder that helps me avoid feeling hopeless and catastrophic and
mm,
devastated. It's where I
mm,
can actually stand on my feet and go, okay, well, he's walked me through this, 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 and this, and this, and this. Why wouldn't he continue to walk me down to where it's good
mm.
in our family? Why wouldn't he? Like, he's a good dad. He's a good dad. And so, all that wrapped in to say, that's my encouragement
Yeah.
to people is, he'll
Yeah.
show you whether you're on the right path or not.
Yeah.
But don't give up. Like, that's the thing too, is it's like so easy to go, oh, that didn't work. Okay, I'll just go back to this. What is the gnawing sense underneath you that continues to compel you forward?
Yeah.
What is the gnawing call on your life that makes you go, I don't think I was created for this, and I've got an opportunity to do this. I'll give it a shot. It doesn't have to be your livelihood, and maybe it won't be for like 5 years, but try to make it a side hustle. Why not? You
When it
know?
sounds to me like you're saying there's staying power when you come to the place of realizing that the greatest drive for significance can't be for your own significance, when it begins to be connected
Yes.
to the significance of Christ
Yes.
and everything that's good in Him,
Yes.
that gives you staying power
Yep.
to move past the setbacks, to move past the self doubt. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, it absolutely can be for your own significance. But at the end of the day, you will have to confront the ugly truth that when I put things under the banner of me, I still feel empty. I still
Mm,
feel weary. I still
yeah.
feel exhausted. And it's like, no, just shift the paradigm. Like, none of this is because of me. All I've done is chosen to play the game and do the dance and show up and work hard and, and not get angry when I don't get my way, uh, and practice patience and go, okay, what's under this rock, God? Maybe that's
Mm,
where you want me.
mm,
So do not give up. Surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. Surround yourself with people who are, um, maybe they've been walking with Jesus a lot longer and they've got a lot of wisdom to share. Maybe it's not resources to share. Maybe it's just wisdom,
yeah.
you know? And so it can be hard though. I know that people who aren't evangelists find it very hard sometimes. And I'm painfully extroverted, as if you couldn't tell. Like, sometimes if you feel a little, maybe like, I don't know about that, that's a little scary. Find one person, just
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
that can walk with you in that.
I love it, Ryan. I love how many times you've come back to the idea of community and needing that, and you're building that right now with what you're doing with your Patreon community. So
Yeah.
we're going to say goodbye, but give people, how can they stay connected, support what you're doing,
Yeah.
be encouraged, allow you to bring the good news of who you are and what you're creating into their life.
Yeah. So you can follow me at social media at Ryan Songs on Instagram and Twitter. You can go to ryansongs.com as well. I'm really active on Facebook, doing a lot of live stream concerts. And at ryansongs.com, you can find out how you can become a patron of my music. I've got a new 70s album coming out. It's called 72. It's a collection of 14 songs from artists from the 70s who've inspired me as a songwriter. And that's coming out on July 2nd. So if you're listening to this after July 2nd, you can get it anywhere. But if you want to get it before anyone else, literally today, I'm going to send it to all my patrons. So that's one of the perks of the communities. You get all kinds of exclusive listens and previews and
Yeah.
all that good stuff. Yeah. So
I love it, dude.
ryansongs.com though, bro.
Do it. Ryan, it's always a joy, man. I miss you. It's so good to see your face and talk to you.
Likewise, buddy.
Thanks for dropping the truth on us today, bud.
My man. Thanks for the opportunity to do it, Daron.
All right. Till next time.
See you, bro.